So thank you everybody for being here today. As Mindy mentioned, my name is Matthew Lowinger, and I am a product manager at Octaria, a Houston, Texas-based software development company. So the goal for today is to really kind of focus in on what type of engineering team is best for you and your company, especially as you scale up your minimum viable product, your MVP. I have had a lot of experience working with a lot of different engineering teams. So really excited to share some of those experiences. Yeah. So going through our agenda today, I'm going to give a 2-second background about myself and my experience. Then the meat of the presentation today is going to be focused in on what are the different types of engineering teams, what are the pros, the cons, outcomes, etc. Then we're going to dive into some of the cost-effective engineering best practices, and then we should be good to go. So a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. area, and now I am living in Baltimore, Maryland. As Mindy mentioned, I've had the opportunity to work on, collaborate on 10 plus software products as a product owner, a product manager, a Scrum lead, and those products, they have been across a lot of different fields and industries like professional services, healthcare, e-commerce. So a lot of great experiences, and very grateful for those experiences. A little bit about the outside of 9 to 5 Matthew. I'm a big sports fan. So I have been watching a lot of the Winter Olympics and really been enjoying that. And I am also a big foodie. So if you have any recipes, especially around barbecue food, please feel free to share them afterwards. So let's dive into the meat of the presentation. So in my experience, I've seen traditionally about 4 types of engineering teams. The first one is in-house engineering teams. And by the way, when I use the word engineering teams, I think of the all-encompassing agile team. So think your developers, whether it's front end or back end or DevOps, your product management, your quality assurance, designers, technical architects, software architects. So when I use the word your engineering team, that's the all-encompassing term that I like to think through. So I just mentioned the in-house engineering team. Then you have your outsourced teams. Next, a brand new type of engineering team has been popping up, which is staff augmentation. And then lastly, your managed engineering team. So let's dive into your in-house engineering teams. So as the name implies, an in-house engineering team is really centered around your internal company team culture. They are part of your company. They are part of your, like the HR W-2s. What I've also seen though is that hiring an internal engineering team is extremely expensive. So I pulled a couple of salary ranges in the Mid-Atlantic region just for a comparison base. For a CTO, it's around $260,000 a year. A DevOps engineer, $115,000 a year. Front end, $100,000 a year. Back end, $100,000. Quality assurance, $80,000, and a product manager, $120,000 a year. So if you add all of that up for your internal engineering team, That's around $775,000 a year just of labor costs. So especially for a scaling startup, that cost is extremely high. And not to mention that the cost of turnover for companies is very high as well. Built in ran a survey and found that losing an employee can cost a company one and a half to two times the employee's salary. Plus, if you do lose that employee, then you have to hire and backfill for that position. And ADP estimates that hiring an employee costs around $4,100 and can typically be filled in 42 days. So call it a month and a half. So it to sum up in-house engineering teams, it is great, especially for large scale companies who have lots of funding, but especially for that niche MVP based startup. There's a very large cost of labor, and that's over $775,000 a year.